Weightlifting belts were originally designed for overhead pressing movements such as overhead press to prevent hyperextension, but is now more commonly used for deadlift and squats. There are generally three types of weightlifting belts that have similar functions, such as Velcro, powerlifting belt, and bodybuilding belts. The powerlifting belts are made up of leather. These belts are thick on the back and thin at the front. These belts are a hybrid of Velcro belts and powerlifting belts, which I'll get to later in the video. Double prong stainless steel roller buckle help with added security and adjustment. They give more pressure than a Velcro belt, but lesser pressure than a powerlifting belt. The powerlifting belts are more rigid and thick than the bodybuilding belt. Their width is constant throughout the belt. Powerlifting belts provide extra surface area on the core muscles that have direct contact with the belt. And most of the belts are double prong stainless steel roller buckle. These powerlifting belts give a lot of internal pressure that ultimately adds more stability than a powerlifting belt and let the lifter carry extra weight. Velcro belts are sufficient for recreational lifting and they're made of synthetic material. These Velcro belts have limited force as it's Velcro. If the Velcro pop open, the pressure is gone. They provide the least amount of intra-abdominal pressure compared to either a powerlifting belt or a bodybuilding belt. These don't necessarily give you the highest efficiency or the best performance. However, if you're recreational or you care about physique like I do, it doesn't really matter. The average thickness for the most commonly used belts ranges from 10mm to 13mm. A thicker belt means there's more support and anchorage for your spine. However, one must consider the comfort levels of the belt too. Thus, it's always recommended to gradually increase the thickness of the belt. Gym bros like to claim three things about belt. 1. It prevents hyperextension when you're overhead pressing. 2. It reduces lower back stress while you're lifting in an upright position. And 3. It helps novice lifters engage their muscles better. Let's see if these holds up. According to research, the purpose of wearing a lifting belt is to mainly prevent injury and increase performance by supporting the lower back via increasing intra-abdominal pressure, IAP. The increased pressure also helps the spine to maintain stability and strength even while carrying out hard exercises involving the lifting of heavy weights. This ultimately prevents the falling of spine and saves it from collapsing over heavy lifting. Additionally, wearing a belt leads to increased muscle activation of the prime movers such as vastus lateralis and bicep femoris in, for example, the squat. By increased muscle activation, velocity of the exercise also increases, however, only by a few milliseconds. By wearing a weightlifting belt, the stomach of the weightlifter gets something to be pushed against. Due to the availability of this belt to be pushed against, the abdominal pressure is increased, further causing the weightlifting to be more efficient. One can also increase the intra-abdominal pressure by making a little change during your exercise. You have to take a deep breath and take hold of your breath inside. After that, do not exhale the breath normally as you will just take the air out of your lungs without providing you with increased pressure. Be careful when exhaling the air and take it out with the help of your core muscles. This specific maneuver is called Valsalva maneuver. There have always been claims that wearing a belt reduces your core activation, but studies are actually mixed on this. One study suggests that erector spinae is more active when using a lifting belt. In another study recording the EMG activity in a deadlift, found that participants without a belt have higher engagement in their obliques, whereas participants with a belt showed higher engagement in their rectus abdominis as well as erector spinae. So far, the study is very inconclusive and mixed, and potentially this data could be different among gender and age. Another added bonus for wearing a belt is more psychological. It may help you overcome mental barriers. For example, the weight is the same, but you might feel as if the weight is lighter or you'll be able to accomplish it just because you're wearing a belt. Fun fact, if you wear a belt, you can actually be a few millimeters taller, as the belt itself reduces the effect of the spinal compression caused by gravity. It's probably a good idea to keep your belt on during your max or near max lift to prevent any injuries. Or another way that wearing a belt can be helpful is during hypertrophy sets. For example, if you're near failure or near fatigue, you can put a belt on and squeeze out a couple more reps. Please keep in mind that wearing a belt is completely optional. It may help you improve results on some of the big lifts, but if your priority is not on increasing the numbers, then you absolutely do not need one. I do recommend always wearing a belt if you're going heavier on the overhead press though. For example, if it's 3 rep max or 1 rep max. If you're doing any light lifting or just hypertrophy sets, for example, 15 reps of bicep curls, I don't see any reason for you to wear your belt. According to the opinions of many experts in the field, beginners should not attempt to wear a belt, as they should be learning the proper form of the exercise first, as a belt may help them compensate. As a lot of the correct forms require muscle memory, you don't really want a beginner to learn how to use a belt and not have the appropriate amount of muscles to keep that lower back neutral during the same amount of weight and have your lower back bent like a boomerang. One thing to note is that we don't know how much wearing a belt can also work out your core muscles, so you shouldn't stop working out your core just because you're wearing a belt, as studies are inconclusive on the subject. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. My Physique signing out.